G'day, welcome to Film Franchise Fortnights on the Cult Pop Shop podcast. You're speaking with Richard.
And AJ.
And today we've got a very special guest. This is the big one. This is undecided voter, Kenneth Ken Bone. How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing real well, guys. How about you?
We're great, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm happy to be here.
Also, and so as per Ken's request, we always let our guests choose if they like. We watch the franchise The Boondock Saints. Mm-hmm. So Ken, are you a fan of these movies from way back?
Oh yeah, fantastic movies. I watched it the first time I think 12 years ago. The first one when it was relatively new. I've been a big fan ever since.
Yeah, because these movies, especially the first one, didn't do too well in the cinemas, but we'll get to that. It made all its money on home video.
Yeah.
It was one of those kind of sleeper hits. So, had you heard of it when it first came out?
No, a friend of mine from work, when I was working my way through school as a pizza delivery guy, recommended it to me. It had already been kind of an underground cult hit by then, and he was a big fan.
Yeah, it's that kind of movie though, isn't it? That you, I feel like it would always be. Oh yeah, I feel like a friend told me to watch it while I was working as a pizza delivery guy. It's probably a lot of people's experience with this movie.
I don't think they had a lot of money for advertising. I think the budget for this movie was probably about $40, and they spent it all on bullets.
They probably factored in pizza delivery word of mouth into the budget.
If they just tell a small sector of pizza delivery guys, soon they will all know.
Because I think I'd heard the name. I'd heard the word Boondock. I don't know. I can't remember if I'd heard of it before, but no, this is my first time watching them.
Yeah, it was my first time seeing them as well. So thank you, Ken, for introducing that to us.
I'm happy to.
It's currently about 7 a.m. here in New Zealand, so just to paint a picture. What time is it over there, Ken?
It's 2 in the afternoon here in the Midwestern U.S.
So we're in very different headspaces, but we're trying to get into the same one,
trying to find a healthy middle ground.
Yeah, so we can talk about the Boondock Saints.
Well, just so that we could be on equal footing, I slept until 1:30. Just so we could be on the same page.
So just quickly, a bit of housekeeping. Mm-hmm. The Boondock Saints, it has 2 films in it.
Yep.
There's The Boondock Saints, released in 1999, and The Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day, both directed by Troy Duffy. Sorry, the second one came out in 2009.
Oh, yeah.
So 10-year difference. This is interesting. And they star Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. You might know him. Sean Patrick Flanery from The Boondock Saints.
Nothing else.
Willem Dafoe and Billy Connolly.
And Ursula from George of the Jungle.
Yep.
She's in them. That's as she will forever be known. Her most famous role.
Yeah. So Ken, what we normally talk about first is do you have a favourite?
I think the first one is my favorite. The second one is still a fun time to watch, but there's a noticeable drop in quality. That's probably why it took 10 years to get made.
I think the second one, it had like 20 minutes tacked on the end.
Yeah.
I was so ready to end watching that movie, and then it just kept going.
Definitely, there was resolution to the story, and they caught the guy who shot the priest, and the movie was essentially over. And they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's an even bigger, badder guy, so that we can have another gunfight." Turns out we had $100 left over in the budget, so we want to do another scene.
Especially when the first one ends so abruptly, that it's like. I didn't realise that was the climax of the film until it was over, and I was like, I guess that was the climax.
So, for those of you listening who haven't seen the Boondock Saints, basically they are about... The first one is about 2 Irish... what would you call them?
Twins?
Yeah, okay. I was thinking like hoodlum.
Right.
They're from they're gold-hearted, but from the wrong side of the tracks.
Right.
And they live in Boston, in an area I can only assume is referred to as the Boondocks. And they find out, they feel they get a message from God one day to take out all the mob bosses in Boston. and so that's roughly the plot of the first one. And Willem Dafoe plays a detective who is after them,
but also kind of helping them.
Yeah, but sort of learns to love them.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the Boondock Saints.
They'll be rampant throughout this podcast.
And then the second one is set, I believe, 8 years later, was it?
It's set 8 years later, released 10 years later.
Right, and that's about the Boondock Saints, as they've come to be known, have disappeared for a number of years. 8, probably, specifically. And they turn up again. They turn up again because a priest gets shot and his body is, like, presented in the same manner that all the Boondock Saints murders were. Murders? Yeah, I guess it's still
Executions.
murder. Executions. And so everyone thinks that the Boondock Saints are back and now they're murdering innocent people. And they sort of turn up again to clear their name. That's one of the stories of Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day. There's also Billy Connolly, who's their dad, I think. He has like this whole flashback story where you learn about another bad guy, and that's sort of where the film ends. Yeah. Would you say that's succinct enough, Ken?
Yeah, definitely. Billy Connolly's part in the Boondock Saints 2, as much as I love Billy Connolly, that was what really dragged the film down. Is the just horribly, horribly done flashback scenes trying to emulate The Godfather Part 2. Only with this really cheap-looking Instagram filter quality to all of the camera work.
I love that the creative forces behind this film felt that their film was as prestigious as The Godfather, and that Billy Connolly and whoever played young Billy Connolly were the equivalent of Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. Like, yes, this is our Godfather.
When I think of that, I try to just remind myself that the writer of the guy who wrote the screenplay for the first one and came up with the concept and produced it, David Del Rocco, played David Del Rocco. So we're talking about a guy who wrote a story with a character named after himself, who he then played.
Oh my
God. It's not going to be the most sophisticated film in the world.
That makes a lot of sense. On the back of the DVD that we rented to watch the first one, it has like a real like shitty explanation for what the movie is about, and then it says something like, with flavors from Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, The Boondock Saints is the movie Quentin Tarantino could have directed. Which is the worst way to summarize a film.
Like people, like it's like Quentin Tarantino wishes he directed this film.
Yeah, it's not as good as a Quentin Tarantino movie, but it sure feels like it's trying to be one.
Yeah.
That's not
Quentin Tarantino also could have directed my wedding film if he wanted to, but he didn't.
But unfortunately, he passed on both.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He had other projects going on, I think.
And it's like, I don't think Quentin Tarantino could have directed this film. I think the film wishes.
I would love to see Quentin Tarantino's version because it's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's true.
And executed a little bit better. I think it wasn't very self-aware.
Yeah, I feel like if you had told me we were going to watch a movie about two Irish guys in Boston who decide to kill every member of the mob, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds
fun romp.
Yeah, that sounds like John Wick or something like that. But it took itself very seriously. I felt so anyway. I feel like Willem Dafoe probably knew what was going on.
Yeah, but, and he hammed it up a bit. And good on him. So how old would you have been when you saw this for the first time, Ken?
Let's see. I saw it the first time. I would guess in probably 2003, when I would have been 22 or 23.
Right.
So you're just a bit younger than we are now. So you'd think that it'd be some kind of demographic. Like once you get to that age, you watch the Boondock Saints and you love it. We not so much fans of the film.
Absolutely.
I can definitely understand why people like the first one. I think.
Yeah. I know 100 kids from my high school who I could recommend the first one to, and they all owned katanas and tried to learn like dialects of Japanese, and they were angry. Richard.
You have perfectly described the person that recommended this movie to me.
I thought you were going to say we perfectly described you at 22, which would have been a hilarious...
No, I probably wasn't much better. But we were very poor, and there was a movie store in town that would rent this movie to us for 50 cents. So it was 50 cents worth of a good time, for sure.
Yeah, well, they should be the when they re-release the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
the quote on the cover: Ken Bone, 50 cents of good times.
Oh, absolutely.
Worth 50 cents.
So
they're considering making another one. I'll be in it if they want.
Oh my gosh, you actually probably could get in it. It's exactly the type of movie, and you're exactly the type of like celebrity that would wind up in it.
Yeah.
That's so great, man. You should aim for it.
I want to be one of the 60 hapless minions who get shot without realizing what's going on.
Yeah.
Who react? I want to react 45 seconds after getting shot.
Oh yeah, I noticed that as well. Especially they play a couple of scenes back in slow mo, and you're just seeing all these extras miss their like squibs, and they're like pop. But another weird celebrity, another the strange celebrity that pops on the first one is Ron Jeremy's in it.
Who's Ron Jeremy?
Ron Jeremy. Ken, do you know who Ron Jeremy is?
Oh, certainly. I had never heard of him before this film, obviously.
Ron Jeremy is probably one of, if not the world's most famous male porn star. But like, if you were to draw or describe a male porn star, like he's what you'd draw. He's like, he's just he's got a moustache. He's got the long hair. He just looks disgusting, and like. When he popped up in the film, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the great things is Ron Jeremy does a lot of podcasts and a lot of interviews and things, and if you listen to any of them, anytime they mention him trying to get into like non-porn acting, he talks about this movie. It's like one of his proudest. 18 years later, he's talking about this gem that he was in for 6 minutes.
Maybe we'll get him on and talk about it.
Get Ron Jeremy on the list. What franchise would we watch with Ron Jeremy?
Oh, I probably can't say its name.
I don't want to say it in front of Ken.
So the Rotten Tomatoes scores, just for other critics. So would you say the first was your favourite as well?
Yeah, I don't think I liked either of them.
Yeah,
the first was the one I found the easiest to watch.
I thought. And so the Rotten Tomatoes scores for these ones are really interesting. So the first one has a critic score of 20 and an audience score of 91, which is the third largest difference between the two.
What's the first?
The first one
sounds about right.
Is a film called Rad, which has 91% audience score and 0% critics. So that's a 91% difference. A film called America has an 80% difference, and Boondock Saints is third with a 71% difference.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, but it's funny that like the Boondock Saints is one of the quintessential critics versus audience films.
Yeah.
And then Boondock Saints 2 All Saints Day has a critic score of 23. So critics preferred the second one by 3% and an audience score of 56.
Yeah. That's some of the most accurate summations that I think I've heard on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with the first one, anyway, the second one's definitely a better made film in terms of like the technical side, because I think Boondock Saints might be one of the worst edited films I've ever seen. It's like confusing scene transitions, the movie, because 90% of the scenes end with a fade to black. It's so hard to tell like passage of time. You'll be like in a church or something, and then it'll fade to black and it'll come up as the same characters at home, and it's just kind of like the scene didn't really end beforehand, and you're just like, what? Where are we right now? What is happening? The editor or the
director are like, how do we get to the next scene?
Yeah.
Fade to black.
I really think I really feel like Troy Duffy was surprised that he was able to get Willem Dafoe in this movie, and he did not account for that. He did not account for it budget-wise, so he wasn't able to spring for Adobe Premiere Plus. He had to settle.
On the trial version.
I love watching the credits. It's written by Troy Duffy, directed by Troy Duffy, screenplay by Troy Duffy. The first name that appears in the credits that is not Troy Duffy is his wife, Taylor Duffy.
I think Taylor Duffy's his brother.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoever it is, it's the only non-Troy Duffy person in the first about 2 minutes worth of credits in the second film.
So I'll just quickly touch on the editor, and then I've got a bit to say about Troy Duffy. Okay. So the editor, Bill Deronda, you might recognise. He's also edited the Comedy Central roast of Rob Lowe, the Comedy Central roast of James Franco, the Comedy Central roast of Donald Trump. The list goes on. He's only edited 2 films though, Boondock Saints and Boondock Saints 2 All Saints Day.
Why? What?
So he edited all of the Comedy Central roasts, and then he's done a few stand-ups, he's done a few episodes of American Idol, but only 2 films.
I thought you were going to tell me that he edits Ron Jeremy's films. It would have made a lot of sense as well, because it is kind of... the editing in this movie is a cross between how you'd edit a porn and how you'd edit a movie trailer, but not like the action-packed parts of a movie trailer, like the quiet parts where they're like, in the new Fast 8 trailer, how he's like, we're family, and then like fades to them in the ice, and then it fades back, and they're like, and da-da-da, you betray your family. That's what this movie's edited like. Just the scenes
end of the
are
Fast
longer.
8 trailer. So, have you ever heard of a film, Ken, called Overnight? It's a documentary.
I've heard it, I have not seen it.
Right, because I watched it. I stayed up late last night and watched it as additional research for the podcast. So, Overnight tells the story of Troy Duffy, who wrote and directed these films, and basically he was handed the world on a silver platter, and this is my pitch. He is handed the world on a silver platter, and he said, "This isn't good enough." The guy is a total prick. Like he was a bartender working at a bar, and he wrote the Boondock Saints with his friend who Ken mentioned earlier. And just in his breaks, he rented a computer, and then this is like beautiful Hollywood success story. Yeah. So this guy Troy Duffy rents a computer to write Boondock Saints in his break, because he gets this vision, he gets this idea, and then somehow Harvey Weinstein comes across the script, pays him $300,000 to get the script, and buys the bar that he works in to give it to Troy Duffy. Beautiful story. Newspapers are running Troy Duffy, the most exciting new voice in Hollywood. Troy Duffy, like Hollywood's new it boy kind of thing. And then this documentary tells the story of this guy who just gets this ego inflated. He was already like a dickhead, and he's bragging and over a smoke about like, oh yeah, these guys come in, they're all wearing suits, and I rock in there, I'm in my overalls, I'm hungover, they like me because I don't give a shit, kind of thing. And then it's like, you're not coming across as a great person, Troy.
Do you think he owned a katana?
Definitely. but not in the sense that like he loves Japanese culture. It's more like, you come to my house, you get the katana.
Oh, right.
Like he believes it's threatening. Anyway, so this guy, over the course, imagine like any one of us getting the chance to direct a film, and then within a week saying things like, when people are like, oh, who are you going to cast? He goes, oh nah, Keanu Reeves is a fucking punk. Ethan Hawke, there's a talentless fool. And calling Kenneth Branagh the C word.
Oh my god!
Like just because he's like, and he's like, no, I don't want Brad Pitt. He's already played an Irishman. And all this stuff, and so he went on, and so
I want Norman Reedus, rising star Norman Reedus.
And then eventually, Ewan McGregor, he met with Ewan McGregor, who would have been pretty good in these films, I think. He met with him. They got drunk together, got into a fight over the death penalty, and Ewan McGregor pulled out.
What side do you think? 2 guesses to what side Troy Duffy was on when talking about the death penalty.
See, now I'm trying to imagine this movie with like Ewan McGregor and Kenneth Branagh as the McManus brothers, and how different a film it would have been.
I think Kenneth Branagh was looked at for Smecker's character, who's Willem Dafoe's character. The studio wanted Sylvester Stallone to play him, because they already had a relationship with him, or Bill Murray or Mike Myers. He met with Patrick Swayze, Robert De Niro, Kenneth Branagh and Spacey, and Kevin Spacey, and they all passed.
Mike Myers in 1999 surely would have been closer in age to Ewan McGregor than...
No, this is to play Smeeka.
Oh,
and then Ewan McGregor was to play one of the boys. The boys. But yeah, they also looked at, who else? Stephen Dorff, Brendan Fraser, to play brothers.
For Brendan Fraser. One day.
One day, Brendan. So, yeah, basically, and then one day, Troy Duffy gets into a fight with Harvey Weinstein over the phone, and Harvey says, "You know what? The Harvey giveth, the Harvey taketh away," and he pulls out, because Troy had negotiated a deal to direct the film and everything like that as well. Mm-hmm. And then, so what was once Hollywood's hottest script was then blacklisted from being made because Harvey Weinstein didn't want it made. And then so that was Miramax, and then a production company called Franchise Pictures picked up the film, made it, and then once it was made, it got shopped around a bunch of different festivals to be bought, and no one bought it. No one wanted the film anymore. And then eventually a company did buy it. It ran in 5 theaters in the US for 7 days. So the film was made with a budget of $6 million and made a total of $30,000 in the box office.
This is so funny. Thank you for suggesting this, Ken. This has been one of the most interesting franchises we've ever covered, just because it's so funny.
So, like, I would recommend the documentary Overnight, because it is the story of this guy who becomes an overnight success and says, "No, fuck you, that's not good enough." And then he never worked again until he... So the film made $30,000. Norman Reedus, Willem Dafoe, Sean Patrick Flanery, Troy Duffy, none of them saw a cent of that. None of them got paid for this movie.
What?
He had to sue Franchise Pictures to get any money, and the rights to the sequel. And then he was like, 10 years later, he's like, "I'm making it."
Wow. Holy shit.
Yeah. The behind the scenes of this movie is so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you watch the movie, you see Troy Duffy, and you're like, yes, this is the guy who would make Boondock Saints.
I'm just amazed. When Harvey Weinstein doesn't want a film made, the fact that he got it into 5 theaters is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
Harvey Weinstein is Hollywood in some respects.
Yeah. I'm torn between not liking this guy and kind of liking this guy, because it's
Troy Duffy, or?
Yeah, Troy Duffy, because it's like, man, you messed with the bull, got the horns, still made your movie. Was still a cult following. That's so funny.
But he's kind of like, because with Josh Trank, you know Josh Trank, Ken?
No, I don't think I do.
So he directed a film called Chronicle, which is pretty highly regarded amongst critics, and then he was attached to the Fantastic Four reboot. Everyone was excited about it, and then they saw some footage from it, and then there was a lot of studio interference. And Josh Trank, while making it, was even attached to a Star Wars film, and
Boba Fett one,
potentially a Boba Fett film.
Boba Fett, yeah.
And so he, and then he basically just went nuts. Said, studio screwed me over. Everyone's a jerk. I'm the greatest. And a lot of people are saying is Josh Trank the next Troy Duffy because he. But then I'd say Chronicle's probably a better film.
Chronicle's a better film than Boondock Saints, and Fantastic Four's a worse film than Boondock Saints. So who knows at this point? Yeah,
well, and I guess Chronicle's Max Landis' script as well.
I very nearly suggested Fantastic Four as the franchise for this episode, but that would have meant I had to watch all the films, so I didn't want to do that.
Because we would have made you watch the 94
I don't think you can find that one.
That's on YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
Yeah. We have to watch every failed attempt at creating a Fantastic Four film.
Hey, we just did the Divergent series last time as well, and that was pretty similar in terms of...
the Divergent series. A series of films where the special female character, the thing that is special about her is that she's a person. That's it.
Have you seen them, Ken?
I saw the first one, and by the time it got to the end, I'm like, so wait, your special deal is that you're a teenage girl who has conflicting emotions? This is the worst. I can't believe this schlock got made. I don't hate Twilight as much as a lot of other people do, but watching Divergent made me hate Twilight for enabling Divergent to get made.
This is very relevant to our most recent podcast.
That's very much share our sentiments. Because do you know what's happened with the 4th film?
I'd heard that it might go straight to DVD.
Yeah, straight to television, which is hilarious. the fact that they started out like, this is the next Twilight, guys. You think the Hunger Games is good? Check out Divergent, and now they're like shoved onto TV, and their stars pulled out as well. Shailene Woodley says she's not going to be on a TV show, except she is. So, fun fact: the first film has 247 F words and 33 kills, and the second film has 136 F words and 59 kills. So the bloodier the film gets, the less sweary it gets.
It's a deal Troy Duffy made with his conservative father. He's like, right, fine, I won't put as many F words, but I'm putting... Wait, no. He would put less blood as well.
No, more blood. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, fine, Dad, I'll put less F words in. He's like,
I'll show him. Fuck my dad. Because of course, Troy Duffy hates his dad.
yeah.
With the Rocco character barely appearing in the second film, I think that accounts for a lot of the drop-off in F words. They just kind of shoehorned him in because I feel like Troy Duffy probably owed David Del Rocco $5, and he said, I'll let you be in a scene if you don't make me pay you back.
Which character was that? Remind me? I didn't take in any of their names.
Rocco was the sidekick guy in the first film.
Crazy guy in the first film.
Oh, the funny man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, funny man.
And then, he's in the second one as well. Yeah, he's got a couple
briefly,
weird scenes. Yeah.
And he gets a strange flashback scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sure does. Along with every other flashback scene in the movie.
So
that flashback scene, I think, really it kind of encapsulates. If you want to see how bad the editing is, which AJ was already talking about, just watch the end of that flashback scene, where Rocco has his little speech about men don't cry, men don't pout, they punch you in the jaw, and say 30-second pause while the guy skates up from the back. He's like, oh shit, I missed my cue, and he has to start skating up. And then he finally finishes the poem saying, thanks for coming out after this huge delay.
This might be the first franchise we've done on this podcast where I want to tell our listeners, definitely watch this film, or these films, because you need to understand, us talking about them doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, I feel like the more I think, having slept on it, I think I could kind of enjoy the Boondock Saints now. Like, especially after watching the second one and being like, oh, it could be worse.
Yeah. This sort of like, imagine Fight Club, but without like the nuance, and that's what these movies
the subtlety.
are. It feels like it's supposed to be the next. Well, it came out the same year as Fight Club, but in the same vein as Fight Club, like in terms of its cult classic following and things like that. But it's just
and like about masculinity.
Yeah. But it, like, Fight Club has reached as far as it has because it was both a movie about like raw masculinity and like a smart movie with something to say. And I don't know what the Boondock Saints is trying to say, that boys don't cry. Like, what is the underlying message on the Boondock Saints movies? What do you think?
I imagine that somewhere in the world there is a good version of this film that got made originally, and then this was like a loving shot-for-shot remake of that film without any of the emotional impact.
That's exactly what this film feels like. It feels like a shitty remake of a good film. But I've never seen
that missed the point, and it was like, people liked the F word and the shooting in the first film. Let's just put that in. So
we're basically going to make the Irish Punisher with more comedy scenes, and we're going to hire the guy from the Comedy Central roast to do the editing, which I would not have believed was a real thing unless you had told me that.
Do you think Troy Duffy, he came home from filming and said to his brother Taylor one day, Taylor, I've got him, and he was like, who do you mean? He's like, the editor of the Comedy Central roast. I've got him. He's going to edit the film.
And they just got smashed.
I
forgot such a massive. It's like the storyline of the documentary overnight. So Troy Duffy was in a band called The Brood, and so they're exactly what you would expect of like a band. Like, from what you know about Troy Duffy, is exactly what you'd expect his band to be like. He managed to sign a deal where not only does he get to, like, his script, The Boondock Saints, get made, he gets to direct it, and his band gets to do the soundtrack. So he organised this deal, and then it was like, Troy, man, you gotta care about the band, like, the whole time. And then he,
was he in a band with Disco Stu from The Simpsons?
Yes, Disco Stu and Taylor, his brother. But he, eventually, so I think there's 2 songs by The Brood on the soundtrack. They didn't end up getting to do the whole soundtrack. But they changed their name to the Boondock Saints. and released an album which sold 690 copies.
To put that into perspective, the Ken Bone T-shirt sold 86,000 copies.
That's awesome, man. It's so funny. Sorry, our phone's falling over here.
Did you receive any money from that, just out of interest?
Well, just that one T-shirt deal I did. There was like hundreds of other things, like with my face on coffee mugs and socks and stuff that I didn't get any of. But that one T-shirt company that I worked with, we sold about 86,000 of them.
That's amazing.
I don't know if you ever saw this, Ken, but here in New Zealand, about 6 years ago, a guy was pushed to meme lord fame, similar to you, in a video that we call Neck Minute. And it was a professional skateboarder that no one knew about in New Zealand until this video was released. Real ugly dude. Like, that's his main defining feature. He has alopecia, so he's got no hair. He's got like gappy teeth, and he's standing there shirtless on a footpath, and he goes, "Left my scooter outside the dairy. Neck Minute," and it goes down to his scooter and it's missing the handle, so it just looks like a skateboard.
It's broken in half.
Yeah, it's broken in half. So Neck Minute is still to this day used in New Zealand. And similar situation, his Neck Minute was put on shirts and coffee mugs, and he received no money for it. And there's like an interview on 2020 or something where he's
like 60 minutes.
Yeah, where he's like crying, talking about how he didn't receive any of the money.
I came very, very close to not getting a dime of any of that. But
Wow.
Darren Rovell, the ESPN commentator, he got my phone number somehow. I do not know how, but he's a very, very nice guy. Like, he just wants to help folks out.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, people are selling shirts with your face on them. I know a guy that makes shirts. You should make them, and that way you get some of the money." I'm like, "Okay, Darren, famous celebrity. Thanks for looking up my phone number." So he really hooked me up. He's a great guy.
Yeah, that's interesting, because a lot of people could just see like, oh, Ken Bone's making shirts with his own face on them. Oh, what an egotistical. But it's like, it is that kind of thing. Like, you've got to, if someone's making money off your face, it may as well be you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave 10% of the money to charity. I really doubt any of the people who stole my image did that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to admit something to you, Ken. I actually dressed up as you for Halloween last year.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry, I didn't make any money, so I couldn't. But basically, my work was like, AJ, dress up, because I'm kind of like the youngest guy at my work, and so everyone was like, AJ, dress up for Halloween, and I was like, no, like, what do you? I'm not going to wear a costume into the office, and then.
But you had a red sweater.
I have a red sweater and I had a beard, and I was like, I'll just shave my beard and go as Kimbo, because it was right around the time that you appeared on all our screens. And
in our hearts.
So yeah, I just wanted to admit that to you, but if I made any money, I would be giving it to you now. But I didn't, I promise.
That makes me very happy. Yeah, there were several companies out there selling the sexy Ken Bone outfit. It was like a crop top. It was sold out. I tried to buy one for myself. I was going to put pictures on my Twitter of me wearing it. That would have lost me 100,000 followers, but it would have been pretty funny.
Because I saw your Obi-Wan Ken Boney. That was great.
I was very happy with that. That's still like the #1 post of all time on the pictures subreddit.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's Ken Bone dresses Obi-Wan for Halloween, and he's like, here it is, Obi-Wan Ken Boney.
And wearing the whole like Ken Bone getup with the sweater and all that, and then a Jedi robe over it and a lightsaber. I'm Obi-Wan Ken Boney.
It's interesting that you're like, obviously our listeners can't see this, but you're actually wearing a blue shirt today. But that's sort of it's sort of like how Bart Simpson wears blue shirts in like all the promos, but an orange shirt in the show.
Yeah.
The red sweater is pretty much retired. It's only for charity events, and plus it's mid-spring here in the northern hemisphere. It's quite warm out.
Yeah, no, we weren't expecting you to wear it.
Yeah, no, of course not. Do you get a lot of messages from people asking you to be on their shit?
I think this is the first podcast I've done in about a week, but usually I do 1 or 2 every week.
It's so funny. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's good. Like, yeah, thanks for anything that can get us just a couple more clicks. Is always good.
I assume Ken Bone is good clickbait. Probably better clickbait 6 months ago, but probably still good clickbait now though.
Still better than AJ and Richard.
During the height of it, I was on like somehow people were putting my face on those spam ads for credit scores and crap. Like, I don't have anything to do with credit scores, but hey, you know, that's how you know you're really famous, when you're getting used for spam.
Oh man, that's awesome.
All right, well, continuing the franchise.
Yeah.
So there is a Boondock Saints 3 somewhere in production. It's been in and out. So the initial film as well kind of did badly because of it came out a month after Columbine, and so no one really wanted to touch it. Like after like each kind of mass murder, like mass shooting in the US, Troy Duffy's like, yeah, I'm working on it, whatever, yeah, it's delayed now, whatever. And then apparently Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flanery are like, yeah, we'll drop anything to do it. Which is interesting, because Norman Reedus turned down a role in Tomorrowland because he didn't want to cut his hair. Isn't that weird?
I don't think of Norman Reedus' hair either.
Well, no, because in The Walking Dead it's gotten so long.
Yeah, but...
And he's like, The Walking Dead is my life, I'm not cutting my hair.
Right, okay. Yeah, I guess that's fair enough, though. If you're an actor and the only thing you've really been in is like a tumultuously received series, like two series of films, a series of 2 films, then you suddenly become what many people consider to be the best character in a TV show.
Yeah.
You'd probably be like, well, I don't want to cut my hair for this.
Yeah, for what was probably a small role in Tomorrowland. Like, do you watch The Walking Dead, Ken?
Oh yeah, it's Daryl's probably my favorite character. I love Norman Reedus, and you know, despite the fact that Boondock Saints were objectively terrible movies, apparently he had a great time making them. Like, he and Sean Patrick Flanery are great friends, and he seems willing to make the third one just at the drop of a hat because he had so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I gotta respect that they had fun.
Yeah, fun. So much fun he forgot the accent a couple times, but that's okay. That's okay, Norman.
It was one of the worst rotating accent films I've ever seen.
Yeah, and like the chick in the second one, the police detective, her accent's all over the place.
Hers was all over the place. The old man throwing urinal cakes into in the bathroom in the first one that used to be the mafia boss. He started out as Russian and moved swiftly through Italian, and then I got like a hint of Greek maybe by the end of the same sentence. It was really bad.
It's funny with Norman. There's like a few. I bet the trailer would have been edited together to just pick out all the times when he actually does the accent.
Yeah.
Because like Sean Patrick Flanery is the most Irish name ever.
Yeah.
So he's presumably Irish.
Norman Reedus is a pretty Irish name. Not as Irish as Sean Patrick Flanery.
But he's but yeah, Norman Reedus just being occasionally he'd do that, and we were talking about like, I wonder if the director was like, do you want to maybe should we do it again, Norman, and this time try doing the accent? No, I'm fine. Moving on.
Do you think Troy Duffy is holding off making the third one until like he gets his dessert? Like someone's not giving, like, do you want to make? No, not until you give me my dessert.
And they're like, you have to have 3 more mouthfuls.
No.
I almost get the feeling that he's waiting and hoping that like the Daryl character will die, and that Norman Reedus's character. He's like, Norman Reedus has a future after The Walking Dead, but Troy Duffy's hoping that he doesn't, because he doesn't want to work with someone who's a bigger star than he is.
He's gonna wait for Daryl to die, wait for Norman Reedus to make a series of terrible decisions regarding his career, and then he'll make Boondock Saints 3.
Yes.
You kidding me? I'm Troy Duffy.
I'm Troy Duffy. I made Boondock Saints, eh? Doesn't sound like that. So, the working title for Boondock Saints 3, though, is The Boondock Saints 3, Saints Preserve Us.
Right. That's fine.
Right.
That's a fine.
We haven't talked about titles. What do you think of what do you think of the title, the title of these films, and especially the sequel title? Ken?
Well, I mean, if you have to shoehorn the word saints into every film, then I suppose you can't do much better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't have really anything to say about them. They're fine. I think the Boondock Saints is a very cool sounding title.
Yeah, it is.
Whether you know what it is or not.
Yeah.
Because probably the coolest part about the film.
Boondock. I mean, obviously, we don't know too much about what the Boondocks are, but it sounds like lower class.
Yeah. Boondocks. I thought Boondocks referred to. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ken. You'd probably know better than us, but a boondock is like the wop wops here in New Zealand, like the way out. Like, do you want to go to this place? Oh no, that's out in the boonies. Is that right? It's like
the boondocks is like the segment of an urban area or a city that's mostly warehouses and industry, and it's kind of grimy and run down. But some people still live there in like cheap housing.
There you go.
Right, yeah.
So you go hang out at the seedy bars over at the boondocks.
Okay,
right.
Cool.
And so that's in like a lot, and a lot of areas would have a boondocks.
Yeah, the meatpacking plant where they worked in the first one, and the loft housing where they live, that would be the boondock area. But the word boondocks never got mentioned one time in either of the two films.
It's true.
Yeah, and they call them, and the midway through the first film, they call them the angels. And then by the end, they just forget that. And by the end of the film, they're like, the Saints.
Who's calling them the angels? Anyway, continue.
They kept referring to what the press was saying. They said the press was calling them the Saints. But you never hear anything from a single member of the press one time outside of the mob of reporters when they got released from jail. Yeah. And then the press is never mentioned again.
So, so we'll do continue the franchise where we each pitch our own continuation of the illustrious Boondock Saints franchise. Mm-hmm. So, who would like to go first?
I can go first.
I'll
kick us off. Okay, my Boondock Saints 3 idea is called The Boondock Saints versus God. And in this movie, the McManus brothers, they get killed and they go to hell. Despite the fact they thought they were on a mission from God, they find that actually, no, you've been murdering a bunch of people. You go to hell for that. And so then they get real angry that they went to hell after doing all the stuff for what they thought was God. And so the Boondock Saints, they take on their biggest enemy of all, God. And the movie is them fighting their way out of hell and going to heaven to fight God for sending them there.
I can imagine the like final scene or like the big climax. They'd actually have wings just out of their
absolutely. Bags. And the best part is, since they're dead, guess who turns up again? You got Billy Connolly. You got the funny man.
True.
All the bad guys they killed off, they're in hell. They've got to fight them again.
Nice.
There you go.
Get all the extras back.
Yeah, get every single one of the extras. Ken Bone plays the devil. No, Ken Bone, you play God. So you're the final boss.
Big bad,
That'd be the worst God ever. That'd be horrible. You have playing God. You have George Burns and then Morgan Freeman and then Ken Bone. That's a hell of a downgrade.
I don't know. I think I don't know if it's outside of the reaches of what the Boondock Saints has become known for. So. I think I don't know if that was an insult to you or a compliment to Boondock Saints.
Well, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Boondock Saints would take itself too seriously. He'd be trying to get Morgan Freeman as God.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sorry, Ken. I don't know if Troy Duffy is fun enough to cast you.
Ken, you're too good for him.
Well, I don't think so.
You don't need him, Ken.
I don't think he would. But it does seem like the kind of film where you could get like me and the Star Wars kid and the Chewbacca mom. We could get them all together.
The Numa guy.
We could be, we could be God's elite guard.
The Nick Minute guy, he's in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Like each country has their own one. It's one of those like in Zootopia or like
Memetopia.
Yeah. So he gets the layers of hell, and one of them's memes, and then so each country gets their own specific meme. So we get in Australia and New Zealand, we get Nick Minute.
Yeah. There you
go. All right, Ken, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go next?
I'll go ahead and go next. I think what the film is probably going to be, they alluded to at the end of the second one, is they're trying to move into like an angels and demons or the Da Vinci Code kind of realm, being backed by the Catholic Church, despite the fact that Paul Smecker is extremely gay, and the Boondock Saints are murderers, they're going to get backed by the Catholic Church and start going on missions for them. So I'm hoping for a guest spot from Tom Hanks, who is now the head of the task force for figuring out crazy biblical codes and then sending the Boondock Saints against the enemies of the Catholic Church. And it'll be called the Boondock Saints Canonized, because at the end they use a cannon to shoot a guy in the face.
the crossover film series we've all been waiting for. Tom Hanks from Da Vinci Code and the Boondock Saints.
Robert Langdon versus the...
That's great. Yeah, I like it.
Alright, so mine... And this week, I'm doing the silly one.
Okay.
So
both of ours were silly, kind of.
Oh, okay.
That's the silly one.
So my one is a TV show. And so they did talk about doing a Boondock Saints TV series at one point. But mine's probably not what they were going for. Mine's an animated series called The Boondock Saints. And it features two Irish dogs who, get this, and this is a line from the first film, take a bite out of crime. And so it's basically just the Boondock Saints doing their things, except they're dogs.
Which dogs are they?
Irish Terriers.
They're both the same dog. That feels like a...
They're twins. But what? No, they're I don't know. I don't even know if Irish Terrier is a type of dog. They're both dogs. They're both... I don't know. You can probably think of I could probably think of a hilarious pun.
Can Willem Dafoe's Paul Smecker be a hairless chihuahua?
Yeah. And they're taking down all the cat bosses.
Yeah. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah. So, I just you mentioned it, like the this is unrelated to the Boondock Saints, but the Numa Numa guy, the Star Wars kid. Have you met these people?
I haven't. I've considered starting my own podcast where I interview these folks and get their perspective on what it's like to be a meme.
Dude!
But it's tough to do because most people who become memes hate it and don't want to talk about it. I think that's what made me kind of unique, is I think it's fun and I have a good time with it, but most people get sick of all the attention and don't want to talk about it anymore.
You're so much more than a meme though, Ken.
Yeah.
We've got to know you now, and I can safely tell the world.
I would recommend you to a friend.
Consider you a close personal friend.
I think it's safe to say we'd be
I'm telling you, this guy who recommended the movie to me, he's the kind of guy who not only has a katana, but will explain to you that it's not just any katana. This is a battle-ready katana.
I feel like
you can ruin somebody's day with this baby.
Their podcast is a great idea, but maybe the ones that have abandoned the meme status, because it's you approaching them.
Yeah.
You're like, I've been with you. I'm with you, brother.
Yeah.
And they're talk to me, and even just coming on as a vehicle to talk about how much you hate it. That's a great idea, Ken.
You could probably get Scumbag Steve pretty easily. I've heard he's a pretty chill guy in real life.
Good guy Greg. He's
good guy Greg, a dude. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Good guy Greg.
Yeah, like all my best ideas, somebody on the internet gave it to me, so. Maybe I can make it happen.
What would you call it?
I don't know. We haven't gotten really far yet, other than thinking wow, that would be neat, and then playing video games instead of working on it.
That's cool.
That's cool, man. What's the thing? This obviously this whole experience has been surreal for you, but what's been the most whoa, I can't believe this is happening moment?
Well, I was walking the red carpet at the premiere of Doctor Strange in Hollywood, which was pretty bizarre. Walking into the El Capitan Theater, and hundreds of photographers are like, "Kid, over here," and I don't know how that works. I don't know how that, I guess real stars just kind of flash a pose and then flash another pose, and they do 3 or 4, and then they move on. Well, I was actually trying to respond to everybody that was yelling at me. I was like, what? So there's about 50 pictures of me just going, buh. Some photographer should throw away, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, who's the most famous person you've met with your status?
Well, probably my favorite person I met was Anderson Cooper. He really is the nicest guy in the news media. He's really cool.
Yeah, no, he's cool. He seems like a cool guy. We don't really get much of him over here.
No.
We're very disconnected from society.
Can you do a New Zealand accent, Ken?
Well, at the risk of being insensitive, I could try a little bit. It's not the easiest. Sometimes it gets a little upsetting thinking about how I was on television with my receding hairline.
It's good.
That was good.
Yeah. It's probably on par with Gus's one from the other week.
Very.
There's a real good accent video. Not that you necessarily want to learn how to do a New Zealand accent, but there's a real good one online. And the best advice I heard in it, it's sort of like a New Zealand accent is you just take the vowels out of every word. So instead of writing with a pen, you write with a pin.
Pen.
Write with a pen.
I like that.
And what was your before, obviously now you know a little bit about New Zealand. What is your kind of image of New Zealand?
Well, probably like almost everyone else on Earth, that the Lord of the Rings is there.
I know.
Australia is full of terrifying monsters.
Yeah.
And,
They're called Australians.
New Zealand. Yeah. New Zealand is like the beautiful neighbor that doesn't have terrifying hell spiders. It has wonderful rolling landscapes instead.
Yeah, well, we've got orcs.
Yeah, those are pretty scary. We've got the Urukai.
Given the choice between Urukai and huntsman spiders, that's a tough one for me. That's
good.
My God. Jack Jumper ants. No thanks. If Sauron had an army of Jack Jumper ants, he would have won.
Yeah, that's like if Spider-Man could actually control spiders.
Yeah,
there'd be no crime. Like not even just in the comic book world. There'd be that slight chance that like, oh, I'm not going to try just in case he's real.
Spider-Man the horror movie.
Yeah,
cool.
Spider-Man, eight-legged freaks. Okay, so another thing we do, Ken, our other segment is franchise roulette, where we choose our next, randomly choose our next franchise. So what we'll get you to do...
You don't have to do this one.
You don't have to watch this with us, Ken, but we will get you to pick a number for us at random between 1 and about, what is it? 1 and 286.
All right, I'll go with 124.
124.
I thought he was going to say 1, which would have been cheaper by the dozen.
Alright, so 124 is Disney's The Jungle Book.
Oh, wow.
Which is the original animated, the sequel to it, which came out some 60 years later or something, and the live-action remake.
Okay.
An interesting choice, Ken.
Interesting choice. Thank you, Ken, for The Jungle Book.
No problem.
Hey, Ken, is there anything you want to plug? I mean, we're not exactly a big podcast, but we like to give our guests, time to say what, like...
Oh, well... I'm at KenBone18 on Twitter if you want to follow me,
cool.
At KenBone18. And the only really businessy interest I still have is it's all for charity. It's the St. Patrick Center. You can check them out at St. Patrick Center or stpatrickcenter.org. Mm-hmm. It's a Homes First homeless initiative here in St. Louis in the Midwest. So if you care about the homeless, you can learn a lot about how you can help them in your own area, or you can financially support the homeless shelter here in St. Louis.
It's awesome, and I like that it's an Irish-sounding charity to fit the Boondock Saints.
Yeah. Let's get you the first guest to try and make the world a better place with their plug.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just like, follow me on Instagram.
And if you want to find... if you want to... feels dumb plugging our own stuff after like a charity, but if you want to find Cult Popture online, this is to our listeners, not necessarily to you, Ken, though. You're welcome to subscribe.
Check it out.
You can find us mainly on YouTube and Facebook and SoundCloud and iTunes. We don't just do podcasts, we do little videos every now and then as well.
And on the off weeks of Film Franchise Fortnights, we do another. And
that goes exclusively to SoundCloud/iTunes and not on YouTube. You can also email us at cultpopturemedia@gmail.com. And we're on Twitter, cultpopture, all that sort of thing. So check us out. Check Ken Bone out if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Follow him on Twitter. And I'm genuinely looking forward to your meme podcast.
Yeah, that's... we're gonna call you up every 6 months and make sure you're doing it.
If you actually, because you did that interview on H3H3, right?
Yeah, with Ethan. He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
He's the same off camera as he is on.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
man. If you can tell him about the podcast.
I was actually going to say that he probably knows a few more memes. You could probably go through him to get people on your podcast.
Yeah, he definitely knows.
I'll probably start with maybe start with Humongous, since I got the in with him there.
Exactly.
Him,
The Humongous
me being his
podcast.
running mate in 2020.
Yeah.
Cool.
That actually did some good stuff with you. Yeah,
It's good stuff.
good stuff, man.
Cool. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yes, we'll be back in 2 weeks talking about the Jungle Book. Ken, if you just stay on the line, we'll have a wee
Don't
post-
hang up, but stop recording.
a wee post
All right.
chat with you. Thanks, Ken. Thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
on the podcast.
You bet. Happy to be here.
And goodbye to our listeners, you guys as well.